Ron DeSantis' polls have been on the decline, and his shares in the prediction market have declined around 30+% over the past 30 days. I believe that Ron DeSantis is an excellent political leader in many, many ways. And what we've been seeing over the past 30 days has been very, very bad for him, which requires a course correction. I'm a fan. But his campaign's failures and the people who surround him have been so bad, I question whether or not he's actually fit. Let me show you this from Predicted, and we'll talk about what's going on with us and DeSantis and the desire, I guess, from DeSantis supporters for there to be drama and for DeSantis to lose support. So over Predicted, you can take a look at basically how this works is you can buy a share of a candidate. They're called contracts. And who you think is going to win. Donald Trump is at 56 cents. That means if you buy yes and he becomes the nominee, that share is worth $1. So you'll make, 44 cents. Ron DeSantis is at 23 cents and he's declined quite a bit. When you take a look at the 30-day chart here for DeSantis, he peaked on June 9th at 35 cents and he's dropped down now to 22 cents. So it is going down. Vivek Ramaswamy is popping up. This is the example I want to give. To say this to the DeSantis campaign, you guys need to listen to the criticism and course correct. Because right now what I see is DeSantis supporters are so fervent and they're behaving very much like Democrats to the point that if Ron DeSantis makes a mistake and everyone surrounding him just says he's right no matter what, he will lose support. And that is what's happening. Which brings me to the story that happened just a few hours ago. Let's talk about the DeSantis campaign. Many of you may be familiar with a video that went viral where chanters in New York were saying, "We're coming for your children." Many of you are probably aware, and some of you may not be, that was filmed by Elad Eliyahu, our field reporter, who was specifically contracted to film for Timcast News. That footage is property, copyright owned, and licensed out by Timcast News for use. A lot of people have used it without permission, and there are questions about whether or not they should have done that. That ultimately falls to Elad Eliyahu, who retains the rights for licensing outside of Timcast to certain degrees. We have an arrangement with him. So it's going to come down to whether or not he believes that we have to pursue these things. The Ron DeSantis campaign took the video, 9 seconds of it, wrote "paid for by the DeSantis for president" and started texting it out to people. It's not an ad. It's literally just the clip that from our Twitter that we published and we own. I did not go to them screaming like I did speak with people associated with the DeSantis campaign. The first thing I did before any communication happened is I get hit up by a bunch of people saying, "Did you sell this footage to the DeSantis campaign because I'm seeing this thing?" And I said, "No, we didn't." I then have to talk to Elad because we have an arrangement where he gets paid essentially a percentage based on licensing. We want him to make as much money as possible when he produces these things. We want to promote him and support his work so he gets that money, not us. If someone comes to me and says, "Hey, dude, you license," I'm not saying this would happen, but this is what you all need to consider. Someone comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm supposed to get paid when you license this footage out. This thing says paid for by DeSantis for president. Did you sell that footage and not tell me because you'd owe me money if that was the case?" I'm more proactive on that. So I said, hey guys, no, we didn't do this. What do? I tweet, "We did not license this footage to Ron DeSantis' campaign." All I tweeted. That's it. I did not say, "How dare they? They stole from me. Ooh, they owe me all this money." I said, "We didn't license to them." Then people started attacking me saying, "You're stupid. You're a moron." People who write for various conservative websites, high profile individuals and lawyers with millions of followers, people associated with Ron DeSantis' campaign, saying I was stupid. I was a moron. I was an idiot. It's not how it works. How stupid is Tim Pool, et cetera, et cetera. These are not random people. These are high profile personalities who support DeSantis. And I'm sitting here confused all I said was we didn't license to him. And so I tweet again. I'm like, people aren't getting it. They tweeted out our video, just our video, nothing else, saying paid for by DeSantis for president. They're lying. They did not pay for this. And then people start claiming, "How dare you?" They're saying that they paid for the ad. I'm like, it's not an ad. It's just our video. They're tweeting our video to people and with the tag on it, paid for by DeSantis. There's no context. There's no statement. There's nothing added to it. They wrote, "We're coming for your children," which is the quote from the video, with paid for by DeSantis. It doesn't say, "This is a commercial for DeSantis for president. We're seeking your approval. Here's a clip you should watch." Nothing. It's literally just our video. All I said was they didn't pay for it. The absurdity and the insanity that I see here is, for one, you tweet at me all day and night about how I'm stupid or whatever. I don't get the point. Do you want me as DeSantis supporters to go onto my show and just insult his campaign? Because all it does is generate hatred and animosity between someone who otherwise should be supporting DeSantis. How about instead of screaming and shrieking like banshees, you simply just say, hey, we're going to reach out to you and, what is your ask? So I actually reached out immediately after like I'm getting hit up by people who are like, hey, they're using this footage without credit, without attribution. And there's actually, so like we have lawyers, there are questions about whether or not a political campaign can fair use news coverage without attribution. And my understanding is they cannot. Even they can't make fair use claims. I didn't attack them. I didn't scream at them. I was like, hey, look, man, I got people hitting me up asking me like if we sold this to you, because if we did, I'm gonna end up owing money to people. So I don't like that you guys are saying paid for by DeSantis if it's just this clip. And they're like, yeah, no worries, man. Like we'll sort things out. Totally fine. But these people online, these high profile influencers support DeSantis. It seems like they're trying to burn his campaign to the ground. All they're doing is trying to make, like, it's like you were saying, I guess, Ian, I would agree with you to a certain extent. It's almost like they're Trump supporters pretending to be DeSantis supporters to hurt his campaign. Yeah. I tweeted that I would ultimately believe it, except some of the people who have been coming at me in the past literally do work for his campaign. So all I can say is that that's where we're at for now. But the bigger picture here outside of the personal context with us is the fervent zealotry in support of DeSantis is going to sink him. His polls are down. His predicted market stuff is down. If something happens that makes DeSantis look bad, he needs to be realistic and personable and address it in an honest way. And that's how he wins. But the course that they've taken over the past 30 days shows exactly why the prediction market is showing a decline, exactly why his polls are dropping.
Yeah. Did they at least use a watermark on that?
No. Okay. So
just cop the footage.
There's a lot of questions about it. Some people are like, Tim said he wants everybody to have it the other day and he didn't care. And I'm like, there's a difference between my opinion of this should be seen by everybody, that's why we do it, and I have an arrangement with a contractor who retains rights over that footage outside of what we want the footage to be. That has to be answered for. But even then, I'm like, we're going to talk with Elad and see how he wants to handle a lot of these things. I'm not here to pick fights with everybody and just insult him. But there is a legal precedent, my understanding right now, just for clarity's sake, for the people who are saying it. When you see political campaigns and it shows like a clip of a news anchor saying a thing, they show the title of the segment or the date and the publication. They have to attribute it when they do these things.
Right.
And they certainly did not. The other thing people need to consider, so I can explain fair use to you guys. News organizations are largely exempt from claims in this manner. There is varying degrees of arguments on fair use. Okay, if you produce a news segment as a news organization for the purpose of monetization and licensing, people can't just take it and use it. However, if it's embedded on Twitter, you can use that embed in your articles, and that's what people do. You cannot download the footage and re-upload it to your organization. And some organizations that we like, conservative ones, have done this. And yes, we have been in discussion of we're going to request licensing fees for that. So, it's like, how do we be reasonable people in support of those who would spread around news that we want them to spread, but also make sure that, I'll put it simply. If an independent reporter covered this footage, if Elad was working by himself and did not work for us, he would have made substantially more money. We cannot have a reporter work for us who is in the end making less money. It makes no sense. So as an independent reporter, he has the license to this. He can go to anybody and say, you owe me X, you owe me X, you owe me X, you got to pay. And he'll get it. As a large organization, we front the costs of the trip so that he reports under our brand. However, for what reason would he have to do that if he's just going to say, but then I don't make any licensing fees? No, we respond with, we'll let you retain licensing fees, and if we license it out, we'll send that your way, but we get effectively the brand recognition. Right. So the important factor here is it's not fair use when the footage is produced specifically for the purpose of licensing and for news reporting. There's other arguments about if someone writes an article or references things and you're commenting on it directly, totally understand and agree. And these things have to be adjudicated. A judge will determine whether or not it was fair use or not. Fair use is 100% always copyright infringement. It's just whether or not you'll fall under the exemption. Well, just to be clear, just my final thoughts on this. I am not saying my demand is that DeSantis should have paid me for this. That is not what I'm saying. That may be Elad's position. All I'm saying is people came to me and asked me if we sold this to them because it says on the video paid for by DeSantis. I understand people are saying political ads reference who it was paid for legally, and they're not saying that video was paid for by him. I am saying it is creating confusion in the marketplace, And so all I did was issue a statement to clarify, as I'm supposed to do, and I'm getting attacked by DeSantis supporters for it.
Yeah. And the clarification's incredibly reasonable. I would say probably a lot of the backlash is just people being completely ignorant to the entire process of paying for flights, sending out a reporter, going out there, getting it, all this stuff. Fair use doesn't just mean somebody can spend all that money and you can just cop it and put it on your cable news network without any credit at all, without paying anything like that. And I know you said it's not about the money there, but I think a lot of people don't understand all that goes into getting this footage and then having it reasonably credited as well.
I'm personally not super concerned about credit, the money and stuff, but that's not my rights. Elad retains those rights to a very large degree as per our agreement with him, which means if he's seeing stuff he's produced be sent far and wide, typically on his own, when he reports, he sends an invoice like, hey, I own the rights to this, you got to pay for it. Now he's operating under our banner. That doesn't change. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.